In this video, we'll set up our config file. Scroll down and find the WP config. Make sure automatic is checked, and then we're going to move that over. I've just got a work folder on my computer called AA where I can transfer files in and work on them and then delete them when I'm finished. So I'll move that over. And then I could either open this with Notepad or an HTML editor and to make the changes. I like to work with an HTML editor, so I'll get that open now. Now that I have the HTML editor open, I will find that file, click on Open, and that brings me into the folder, the AA folder, where I saved that config file. So I will highlight it, click on Open, and that will bring the file in. Now there's only three things in here that I have to change, and that's this area here, the database username, the database, and the password. Now you want to be very careful in here that you don't remove anything, any of these extra characters, the single quotation marks or anything, because it will not work. So now what I'm going to do is go back to the domain or the notepad file where I saved that database name that I set up, and we're going to paste that in here. Now remember early on what I suggested when you set up your database name and your database user that you use exactly the same? This is where it pays off, because if you had them different and then you put the user and the database in the wrong place, it wouldn't work. You'd have to come back and fix it. But now, because they're the same, all I have to do is carefully remove everything between those single quotation marks and paste in the database name and the database user, and then put the password in. Now all I have to do is save this by clicking on File, Save As. It'll take me right back to this AA folder, and as long as it says config on here, I'll save that. And now I'll go back to the FTP program and re-upload that. These FTP programs usually time out. If you don't use them for a while, they will time out. So I'm going to, just to make sure, I'm going to close it, restart it, go back into public HTML, and I'll go down and find the config. I don't have to delete it now, because when I move this one over that I altered, it will overwrite the one that's in here. So I'll just transfer that across. Alright, now we should be ready to take this import buddy, place that in a browser window with our domain, and finish up our importation of our files and folders in our database.